Hey, good morning. What's up, everybody? It's Mott's Sub 2559 out here at the golf course testing my equipment. I figured I would take this time to also talk about wholesaling and exactly what that is. So it's pretty windy out here today. So I'm testing the, I don't know if you guys can see that from where I'm at. I'm testing the microphone, the wind filter, I think is what it's called. I have no idea. I'm new to all this shit. But essentially, I'm going to try to create as much content as I possibly can around real estate and get my practice in at the same time. So hopefully you guys can see me. I have no idea. I can't see that far away. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about wholesaling, exactly what that is, and how you guys can buy property with no money out of your pocket. So essentially what a wholesale deal is you find you find a seller, and maybe their house is distressed and it needs repairs and whatnot. So let's just pretend their house is worth $100,000. And the old formula used to be that you would try to buy their house at 70 cents on the dollar. Get in there. You'd buy their house at 70 cents on the dollar. Let's say it needed about $20,000 in repairs. So then you would subtract that out. So instead of 70,000, now you're at 50,000. And then let's pretend that you wanted to make a $10,000 wholesale fee. You would try to lock that property up at $40,000 and then sell it to an investor at $50,000, $60,000 and keep the money in between. So let's do the math again. $100,000 house. Ooh, bad break. $100,000 house. Trying to buy 70 cents on the dollar, so we're at $70,000. And then $20,000 in repairs would take you down to $50,000, and then $10,000 for your pocket, right, would take you down to $40,000. If you sold that property at, say, $60,000, you would make $20,000 at that point. So essentially, you put a contract in place. In this case, let's say I'm the wholesaler. I put a contract between me and the seller at $40,000. Then I go find Joe Public, and Joe Public gives me $60,000 for, I put it under contract, I'm going to sell it to him for $60,000. I let Joe Public know they can buy that for $60,000 plus the closing cost. You would send the contract between A and B, meaning me and the seller, and the contract between B and C, me and the buyer, over to the title company, and essentially, I cannot make this putt, and essentially keep that $20,000 in between. So you'd be no money out of pocket, and there'd be no closing cost involved. So that's essentially what a wholesale deal is and how that looks. And then you ask yourself, well, why would somebody sell their house that's, quote, worth $100,000 for $40,000? Well, it's speed and convenience. If your house is in such disarray that you could not hire a realtor, most realtors won't put a junky house up on the MLS. You can find sellers like that. It's not easy to find. And then the last market that we just came out of, everybody was getting top dollar for their house. So wholesalers were locking deals up at, 70, 80% of the value and trying to sell it for more. So there's a lot of misinformation out there as to how you run comps and figure out what stuff costs and how much stuff's going to cost to repair. I can send an appraiser in to 10 different houses and they could come back with 10 different numbers. This putt is absolutely driving me insane. It won't break It won't break when I want it to break. But that is essentially what a wholesale deal is. And it's not something I invented or anything. I've been studying various, and you guys can do it too, and I recommend you do, because I am not a great teacher. I just take action, do these things. There's guys that do a lot more deals than I do. And you should, if you want to get into this, you should absolutely listen to everybody, because my style and their styles are going to differ. What works for me most likely will not work for you, and vice versa. But you got to find your voice, find your style, do what you got to do to get deals done. So the first guy that I ever learned this from, and you can look him up on Facebook. His name is Max Maxwell, and I'm not on Facebook, on YouTube. His name is Max Maxwell, and he puts all of his content out for free. And he is a much better teacher, and he can show you way better than I could how to do the wholesale game. And then if you need help and you want to reach out to somebody local, that's what I'm here for. 559-708-6460. Jesus, as I trip and almost die. But essentially, I want to continue to create content. I'll break deals down for you guys. If you have deals that you think are deals, I'll help you find out if it's a deal. I have buyers. I'll show you how to build a buyer's list, all that kind of stuff. And we can essentially take it from there. And between now and the time I learn to putt, hopefully you guys can make some money. The first deal I ever did, I did what's called a JV agreement. So I found an investor, a wholesaler that had way more experience than I did. I put a house under contract that I found. I made $40,000 and gave 20 to the wholesaler and kept 20 myself. And he had all the contracts and everything in place to make the deal happen. And then I found a second deal. In that deal, I made $100,000 on and split that with the wholesaler. $50,000 to him, $50,000 to me, but no money out of pocket. I didn't have to find the buyer. He had the buyer. And that's essentially how I started my real estate, quote, investing career. And there's a lot more money to be made as a real estate investor or a wholesaler than there is being a realtor. So this was something that, during the pandemic, when everybody was freaking out, that I just doubled down on and really learned, how to do it. And now I'm doing other kinds of deals with creative financing, where I take over people's mortgages or buy people's homes subject to the current mortgage in place. I don't have to go get a loan myself. And there's several exit strategies, and that's a little bit more advanced, and we'll get into all of this. But I just want you guys to know, how it is that you can go out, make money in real estate, basically with no experience, no real estate license. And the number one thing is no money out of your pocket. It sounds like complete bullshit, but I could assure you that it's not. So if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me, 559-708-6460.